Welcome to Lost on Ice, the show about the show 20 years later. Today, we're talking about Season 3, Episodes 19 and 20. I'm Will. Also here is Ben, and you can watch full video episodes of the podcast on YouTube. Ben and I also release a bonus hangout show every week that can be found at patreon.com/drskeleton. And in fact, we just released our biggest show of the year last week on Patreon, and it's free for everyone. It's on Patreon, yeah, but you don't have to pay us for it. It's our big best and worst of 2024. It was a great episode. We had a lot of fun with it, so go check it out. How's it going, Ben?
I'm okay. I've been watching Lost. That's about it, just the usual. I pretty much go into hibernation every week outside of watching Lost. So
we had 40 minutes of technical difficulties right before we started.
Well, yeah, we did that. We did that too. Yeah.
You're being more professional than I am, but just letting that roll off your back. But it's really getting to me. But anyway, we're rolling. I think we're good. We had two absolute bangers to talk about this week.
Yeah.
Both of these episodes I thought were fantastic. I thought things are finally coming together, and it's the best version of this season's concept.
Yeah. I agree. Just things are going crazy on the island. I don't know what else to say. The islands. Everybody's going crazy in their mind on the island. Things are going crazy outside of the island. It's crazy in Lost universe.
Yeah. It seems like, well, I could very easily buy that the writers had some really cool ideas for where to take the show this season, and then they had to fill 16 other episodes. And that's kind of the story of season 3. But I hope it's clear to listeners that I really like the show. We goof on pieces of it, but I think that's mostly us responding to the shape of network television more than anything. There's a lot of really cool things that the show does, and the fact that it operates within the confines of its primetime network trappings makes it all the more interesting to me. And I was thinking about this week. Twin Peaks lives in a similar world. Would I like Lost as much as if it was a 40-hour, if it was 40-hour long episodes total on premium cable like HBO or something? I think it would definitely lose something. Lindelof got to make the leftovers after this, as David Lynch did with The Return, and I love the leftovers. So we sort of got to see the two versions of his ideas. But Lost as a network TV show, I think, has some inherent limitations in some of the things that we kind of bump up against, but also let's just live on the island longer, have a bunch of weird B stories. I think the thing that frustrates me more about this format, though, is the just kind of waiting around for something to happen, and then suddenly I don't know. It's kind of like a plus and a minus, I suppose.
Sure. You do get ads too, if you're watching it like me in its original VHS of original airing format.
Yeah.
You get ads sometimes in between. They pop up and they say, buy Gillette razors. And because it's 2004, they're like,
we're adding a second razor.
A second blade. We've moved up from one blade.
The second blade, yeah.
We're doing a second blade. Yeah. Little did they know by the end of Lost, they'd be up to 3 blades.
That's so crazy.
Technology is advancing.
And now we're covered in blades. 4 blades. Yeah. Let's talk about season 3, episode 19, called The Brig. This aired May 2nd, 2007. It was directed by Eric Launaville. It was written by Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse. We have ourselves a pretty detailed Wikipedia article to get through today, so bear with me.
It caught the hearts and minds and imaginations, however that phrase goes, of Wikipedia man. So he wrote a long one.
He really did. Flashbacks, rather. and I clicked away all of my windows. This is great. This is awesome. I keep clicking away at the window that I'm trying to keep there. All right. Flashbacks show the past 8 days from Locke's perspective. Locke asks Ben and Tom why his father, Anthony Cooper, is on the island, and when he ungags him, Cooper viciously bites him. We sort of see like the the flashback of him tackling him out the window again, which is always so good.
Yeah. You know, this sorry to take us away already, but
Please.
we were talking recently about like, you know, TV or film or whatever, like it's got to be this is a bad summary, but it's got to be kind of something more, like something that you can get that you couldn't get with like a story around the campfire or whatever. And sometimes when I read Mr. Wikipedia Man's descriptions of these episodes, like the one that you just read, I think to myself, it's a really good thing that they made that into a TV show because that sounds
Instead of just
awful.
described it.
When you explain it like that, his dad
He bites
asks
him.
where they are, and dad bites him. Doesn't sound so good.
No, it does not. He's Cooper's a real jerk in this episode.
Yeah.
Is about the they're calling him the most killable man.
Yeah. And you can tell too that he's a bad guy because there's kind of a gradient of like southern accents in this show where like Locke has, I think too, like an American ear, whether you realize it or not, we can all kind of admit like Locke has a southern-ish accent, very light.
It's like a country
it's like a
accent.
southern country
There's something.
accent.
Yeah.
A country accent. He's not a, you know, he did not grow up in
Homestead
Midtown
accent.
Manhattan, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got the next step up, which is like Sawyer. And you know, we've all known for a long time, Sawyer's a country con man, right? You know,
Yeah.
he can hang out in the
He's
city, do all that
compromised
stuff.
morally.
But he's a country man. He likes to get dirty, whatever.
He's from Alabama.
Other things. And then you've got Locke's dad who talks like, you know, he's the founder of KFC. Colonel Sanders or something.
You're hanging looking like a mighty fine chicken breast.
And that lets you know that he's the most evil person in the show.
That.
And he also, it lets you know that he's the worst dad we've seen so far. I mean, we've been big fans of Christian Shepherd in our show about the show. But like when you're talking like Colonel Sanders, people know like this is the most evil man in the show by far. He's a bad dad. Jack should be seeing this to realize how good of a dad he actually had. You could have had Foghorn Leghorn as a father instead.
I would like to show Jack several things in these two episodes. This is another piece of how we know Lost is back. Is like, how angry am I at Jack? I think that sometimes the show gets loses its way if it lets you cheer for Jack a little bit too much.
Yeah.
All right. So as they leave, Ben invites Locke to join them as they prepare to abandon their living quarters, and Locke accepts. A few days later, Locke and the rest of the others set up camp in a clearing in the middle of the jungle. As Locke helps Cindy Chandler put up her tent, I think she was the flight attendant, right? She tells him that the others are excited that he's here with them. Ben summons Locke that night and tells him that he must kill Cooper in order to become one of them. He's like tied up to a big pillar. That I don't, to my eye, this is not the others do it. Like that pillar was already there.
Yeah. That pillar was there, like but also they're kind of going, I don't know how you put this, like tying a guy to a pillar, the way they tied him to that pillar is very like, this is seem like a strange way to say it, but like that's not their culture, you know? That doesn't seem like the culture of the others to tie a dude to a pillar. That's like what you would do in like ancient Egypt or something like that. It just looks goofy.
What are you saying about
it looks like It looks
the
like
various barbarism of cultures here.
no, 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 no. What I'm getting at is it's sort of like an Indiana Jones, you
Sure.
know, Last Crusade or whatever all of them are. That kind of thing. He just looks goofy, you know? Can't have a Southern country lawyer chained to a big a big thing like that, big stone. It just looks weird. I don't know.
I mean, I think the rest of the others do seem to be sort of like expecting it. Like it seems to be like some part of their uh part of their culture somehow because they seem to be like, "Oh yeah, we're here to watch it." But it does feel to me like I agree. Um Manufactured or art of like for them out of place too. So maybe this is like the only time this has ever happened.
Yeah.
But it's
I
been like
said
a long time coming.
yes. I use the weird word cultural, but I think I mean more like aesthetically. It just seems like a weird manifestation of what they're doing.
I suppose so. Yeah,
I don't know.
we don't seem to be getting too much any closer to what it is they're doing. At this point, doing a little bit of like shrugging and throwing my hands up. Like I don't know if I'm ever gonna find out. Like I'm not really getting enough ever to. I don't know. It's confusing, and I don't want to say I've lost interest, but like I wish the season was a little bit shorter because I think I would have like stayed super engaged and like what is it that they're doing this whole time. But I'm kind of not anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
Um the others have gathered to watch, but Locke is unable to kill Cooper despite his father's contemptuous taunting of him. Yeah, he's really doing himself no favors. He's like, "You're a coward. I knew you'd never be able to make it turn into anything." And Locke he's unable to drive that knife into him. The next morning, while Locke is on a hillside overlooking the camp, Richard Alpert, our friend Nestor Carbonell, joins him. He explains that Ben knew Locke wasn't going to kill his own father and wanted to embarrass him. Interesting. A Locke humiliation ritual. Richard tells Locke that if he won't kill Cooper, then someone else should. Sawyer. He hands him like a file with all of Sawyer's info on him.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, Locke wakes to find that the others have packed up and are ready to move on. Ben tells Locke that they will leave a trail for him, but he must stay behind with Cooper and clean up his mess, and that if he doesn't bring his father's body with him, then not to bother following at all. In the jungle, or I guess like with the survivors, Kate wakes up during the night next to Sawyer, and she explains that she can only sleep in her own tent. She kisses him goodnight and leaves. Sawyer slips a handgun into his waistband and steps outside to urinate.
Thank you.
I guess technically true. Yeah. He tactically ascertains his position in order to urinate. He briefly converses with Hurley and Jin, who are standing outside a tent, presumably with the parachuter inside. But Sawyer's like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "No, we're peeing," and he's like, "All right." Inside the jungle, Sawyer is confronted by Locke, who has been gone for a week. Locke tells him that he has infiltrated the others' camp and has taken their leader, Ben, hostage and needs Sawyer to kill him. Sawyer questions why Locke would come to him. Locke explains that thanks to the files the others have on all of the Flight 815 survivors, he knows that Sawyer killed a man in Sydney. We saw that in season 1. Locke turns and leaves, and Sawyer reluctantly follows, barefooted. As Locke and Sawyer trek through the jungle, Locke proceeds to reel off certain points of Sawyer's life, provoking Sawyer to attack him and threaten him with a knife. He says something like, "I know why I know that your dad killed your mom and then shot himself. That must have been hard. Oh shit, man. It's pretty tough, huh?
Yeah. He asks him about his name, which really puts him over the edge. Right. Sawyer.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like,
Why'd you pick that name?
mm-hmm. Locke admits that he cannot bring himself to kill Ben, whereas Sawyer reveals that he killed the wrong person by mistake and he didn't mean to kill the man he killed. Locke leads Sawyer to the Black Rock, that derelict slave ship seen in a previous episode, taking him inside to the Brig, the titular Brig, where a man sits chained, gagged, and hooded. At this point, we're not sure who's under that hood. I think we have a pretty good guess of who's under the hood, but Sawyer thinks it's Ben for sure. Locke locks Sawyer into the Brig with the prisoner. Nominative determinism, once again, emerging victorious. He locks him in there with the prisoner, ignoring Sawyer's enraged pleas to unlock the door. And then Rousseau enters the Black Rock and is surprised to see Locke. I was reading a Reddit thread about this episode, and one of the comments I thought that was funny was something about like Rousseau is sort of like the main character in a video game, and Locke is just being an NPC that she comes in to like pick up to refill her store of dynamite and sees that there's some like something going on. She just dips out anyway. Like she doesn't have anything to do with the rest of that in this episode. Yeah. Maybe we'll get like a Danielle, like for things going on from Danielle's perspective episode. Kind of running out of time to do it for this season, but I thought that was kind of a funny detail. Yeah, she explains she's looking for dynamite. Locke does not give an explanation for his presence or for Sawyer's banging on the door, but he does point her to the dynamite. She takes a crate and leaves.
Yeah.
In the Brig, Sawyer threatens to shoot Locke through the door if he won't open it, but Locke tells him that if his gun had bullets, he would have threatened him with that, not the knife, in the jungle. He's Mr. He'll turn on his powers of observation every once in a while.
Noticer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
An angered Sawyer removes the prisoner's hood and is startled to see that it is not Ben, but in fact, Cooper. Both are equally confused. But Cooper just kind of starts volunteering a lot of information to make this a little bit clearer for Sawyer.
Yeah.
He explains that he was involved in a car collision, and the last thing he remembers is being lifted to the ambulance as the paramedics placed an IV needle in him. In accordance with what island newcomer Naomi claims, Cooper comments that Oceanic Flight 815 crashed in the middle of the ocean, killing all those on board, meaning that Locke is supposed to be dead. Okay, so we're getting... I thought I saw, and I thought we talked about this, and I'm kind of doubting myself now a little bit. On one of the... What?
The Hurley theory?
The Hurley theory that like he's like making it up.
I thought about that exact same thing when I was watching this episode. I think the needle that they're threading, though, that makes it a little bit different from that being addressed before, is that the theory back then was that we were all just in Hurley's head.
Yeah.
And now Cooper is under the idea that they're all dead, which is kind of similar thing. But
it's similar, and specifically he thinks that they're in hell.
Yeah.
I thought we addressed the purgatory theory at some point, or I thought that it had been addressed for a theory that, and now I'm doubting myself, that was ostensibly addressed, or like whatever, sure is pretty plausible to me, I think. And I don't know. I maybe I just saw something that like, no, that's not what's actually going on. But I think the fact that they're getting so close to it in this episode means that it probably isn't the case. Like they're not about to tell us what's going on, but it's a pretty compelling theory. I can't point to like why it's not that. I just sort of feel like I saw something that said that's not the case. And again, listeners, I haven't seen the show, so I don't know where it ends up. And Ben is trying not to give anything away.
I also
throughout
forget
this.
most things.
He's also forgetting. So yeah, Cooper surmised that he is in hell, given that he is now supposedly seeing his dead son, or seeing his supposedly dead son. Yeah. Cooper explains to Sawyer in a really good way too. Actually, he's like, "I think we're all dead." They're like, "You think we're all dead? You think this is heaven?" And he's like, "It's a little hot for that."
Yeah.
Something like that.
Good country lawyer.
Yeah.
Comeback, by the way, though.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Your Honor, I submit it's a little bit hot for heaven, don't you think? You think a little bit further south. Cooper explains to Sawyer that he is Locke's father, and that he conned Locke out of a kidney and pushed him out of an 8th-story window because he was a nuisance. Me to my nuisances in 2025. You're on notice. That's how it's going down for you. You better stay out of away from any 8th-story windows. Suspicious, Sawyer asks the prisoner for his name after he says he's a con man. Cooper tells him a con man has many names, and he begins to list his, including Tom Sawyer. Upon questioning, Cooper reveals that he has been to Jasper, Alabama, apparently Sawyer's hometown. He's really just like given up all info. He has no ounce of self-preservation in him whatsoever. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. I liked him telling the nicknames thing though. I would have asked him to keep
all
going.
of his fake names, like Seward and Cooper and all these other things.
Seward, Cooper, yeah, and then he just throws in like, Miss Dixie or something like that. Miss Dixie, Huckleberry Finn, Tom. So can you go back?
I fooled Elmer Fudd once with this disguise.
What was that? Mrs. Swan or whatever? What was that? What were you doing for that one?
The elegant Baroness. That old ruse. Yes. Sawyer realizes Cooper is the Sawyer that he has been seeking all of his life. Cooper is the man who conned Sawyer's mother out of her life savings, which caused Sawyer's father to kill Sawyer's mother before committing suicide. Sawyer orders Cooper to read the letter he wrote as a young boy. After reading the beginning, Cooper admits he took Sawyer's mother's money out of her own request and tries to convince Sawyer that it is completely Sawyer's dad's fault for what he did to Sawyer's mother and himself. He's going like full demon mode, I guess. I guess he thinks that he's already in hell, so like might as well go full demon mode. But yeah, that's got to be what it is, because like when Locke confronts him in his flashbacks, he's a little bit better at like, I would never do a thing like that. It's making me, quite frankly, it's making me faint. Enraged, Sawyer demands Cooper finish reading, but he tears up the letter to pieces. A real shitbag move. Sawyer then chokes Cooper to death with his chains. Locke frees Sawyer, who vomits outside. Locke tells him that Juliet is a spy for the others who know Sun is pregnant and are planning to raid the camp in 3 days. Locke gives him her tape recorder as proof to present it to the others, or to the other survivors. He tells Sawyer that he is not returning with him because he is on his own journey now. Sawyer asks Locke if his father threw him out the window and if John was a cripple. That's the words they use. And John answers, not anymore, which you'd think a philosopher would be able to navigate this. Is it true that he threw you out a window? Yes, that is true. What he should have just said yes. He says, not anymore. All right, man.
Yeah.
As the episode ends, Locke throws over his shoulder a sack with his father inside and heads into the jungle. Like a big old Santa Claus.
He's a big guy.
Evil Santa Claus be like, yeah.
His dad's a big guy. That'd be rough.
Mm-hmm. On the beach, Charlie encounters Jack when he goes into the kitchen tent to collect food for Naomi, whose presence in the camp remains unknown to all except Charlie, Hurley, Jin, and Desmond. Charlie explains that the camping trip with Desmond, Jin, and Hurley was male bonding. Jack tells Charlie that if they plan another one to count him in. Bro, they don't want to hang. You can't take a hint. It's kind of sad, honestly. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, we'll definitely invite you along. I guess we thought you were busy. I don't know.
Yeah. Next time, even though we're all here today,
all camping all the time.
We're just camping all the time. Often coming back for replenishments, but yeah, next time. Gotta kind of get in at the beginning of the camping trip season. Next season.
Yeah. They closed down the parks though, so like maybe next year. Again, yeah. Every day they've been camping for 3 months or longer at this point. Back in the tent, Jin gives Naomi the food while Desmond questions whether Jack's loyalties lie with survivors or with the others, namely Juliet, Burke. Good questions. Jack's being weird. Because Naomi still needs medical attention, the four men decide to let Saeed in on their secret. On the beach, Saeed tells Charlie he admires his decision not to tell Jack about Naomi. Saeed's a real one for that. And I gotta say, credit to Charlie here too. Saeed questions Naomi. She explains that Penelope Widmore hired her to search for Desmond, although she has not met her. She also repeats that the wreckage of Flight 815 was found off the shore of Bali, 4 miles underwater, and ROVs, like underwater drones, revealed that all the passengers on board were dead. So presumably that means... Okay, we don't know for sure if, like... It could be... This could still be like a decoy wreckage. Although Cooper being sure that Locke died, I guess I'm thinking like, no, they would have. I mean, people would know who was on Flight 15. So yeah, presumably they were able to like get like underwater footage of like all of their dead bodies, like Jack's dead body, John Locke's dead body, things like that, because they were able to say.
I don't know if that's the implication, right? How everybody, you would know who's on the flight, you know? And if you sent a little submarine down and you saw dead bodies, you'd probably be like, okay, plane intact. We got the full plane, dead bodies inside. They're all dead.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
I don't think they necessarily have a picture of
ID'd 1-to-1
dead Kate. Yeah.
Okay. So it could be a decoy. Is where my mind goes. Still, while searching for Desmond, Naomi received coordinates which took her to the middle of the ocean. However, on her return to the search vessel, the island mysteriously appeared out of the cloud cover, and her helicopter lost power as she managed to bail out. Saeed doubts her story and asks for the whereabouts of her helicopter. Naomi is offended by this, unfairly, I think, and gives Saeed her satellite phone, and she quips that she will not rescue him. I think it's, again, Saeed's asking fair questions here. Back on the beach, Saeed and Hurley try to fix Naomi's radio. Saeed says the technology is more advanced than anything he's ever seen. And it looks like, yeah, first-gen iPhone in there. Real good.
Yeah.
He manages to fix it, but the signal is blocked. The noise of the static attracts a curious Kate. No one is being at all inconspicuous. Like, they're like keeping Naomi in this tent on the beach, very obviously, like in front of everybody else. They're like dicking around with the radio, like out in front of everybody. Like, as if we're trying to keep this a secret, we're not doing a very good job, gang. So at first, Saeed is reluctant, but seeing no other choice, he tells Kate about Naomi and asks her not to tell Jack. Kate, however, goes straight to Jack, who is sitting with Juliet on the beach. She asks to speak to him privately, but he says that whatever you say to me can be said in front of her. He has just like his stupid little squeaky. He's pissing me off so much, dude. His he's so annoying.
Yeah, very annoying.
Kate tells them then about Naomi and that he wasn't told because no one on the beach trusts him anymore. Jack and Juliet then debate whether or not to tell Kate something. Juliet wants to, but Jack replies, "Not yet." Fuck off, dude. Oh yeah, so I'm back to being insanely frustrated with Jack. That's the end of the episode. This is a 5-star episode to me, man. This is one of my favorites, if not my favorite so far. Like I had this like I don't know, trickster Locke, like Sawyer, like I think we get the best of Sawyer's character and characteristics in this. And we get the country lawyer getting choked to death.
Yeah.
Also, though, sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's still just a 4 for me, but I agree. I agree with you, just slightly less enthusiastically.
Okay. So Locke doesn't want to kill his dad. He like doesn't have the guts to do it there because he like and he goes and gets Sawyer because he's been told he's a killer by this file. He thinks he's a killer. Doesn't he think that he killed Mikhail though? Like he pushed him through the fence and he died, to him. Like we see Mikhail later, like help Naomi, but Locke seems to have an unfair perception of himself that he isn't a killer at this point. Maybe it's just like specifically about his dad, but like it is something that kind of doesn't quite make sense to me.
Yeah, I see what I get what you're saying. Yeah, I guess so. We'll get into this more going forward, but yeah, he's I think he's lying to himself. He's lying to himself big time. About what he is and isn't, like you said.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a great one, the Brig. This episode of Lost on Ice is brought to you by Ben and I. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to support us, please subscribing to our YouTube channel and to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/drskeleton. We do a whole other podcast that's weekly that comes out there. And like I said at the beginning of the show, we have a free episode for you all to talk about our favorites and least favorite things that happened in the last year. I would recommend checking it out. So let's talk about Season 3, Episode 20, The Man Behind the Curtain. And this aired May 9th, 2007. It was directed by Bobby Roth. It was written by Elizabeth Sarnoff and Drew Goddard. Now, Ben, you may be unaware, but let me help you out here. The Man Behind the Curtain. Now, this is a reference to the Wizard of Oz.
Never heard of it.
Okay. It's actually a bit of a current topic because Wicked recently came out, and that takes place in the Wizard of Oz cinematic universe, I guess.
Musical, the universe.
Mm-hmm. Zoe and I watched Wicked the other day. Have you seen Wicked?
No, I've not. I've seen Wicked the musical. Seen it maybe twice.
Oh, the staged
show, artistic endeavor. Yes,
you like it?
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I'm not that into musicals, but it was okay.
I was wondering this morning, have they ever made a musical sequel, like a sequel to a musical, but like on stage, or like even have there been sequel stage productions?
Sequel stage productions?
Yeah, like Death of a Salesman 2, Revenge of the Salesman.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like it's kind of fun. You can say like any play too, and it's funny. The Crucible 2.
more arsenic, and more lace. Yeah,
I guess, is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead? Is that a sequel?
I don't know what that. I don't
A
have any idea what that
Legacy-quel?
is. What is that?
It's about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. I think it's the two characters from Macbeth. But it's like written, like in the 20th century kind of thing. And so it's kind of like maybe that counts.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not familiar with it, so not sure.
Here's another really good joke. Assuming this is actually the name of one of Shakespeare's plays, I'm not really sure. Henry VIII. That's the 8th one in the series. More of those. Is that one of them? Is that, or am I just thinking like King Lear and Henry VIII was a king? I'm just being right. Whatever. If it's a play that hits really hard. Anyway, okay. Man Behind the Curtain. I didn't really like Wicked.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
They're doing a part 1 and part 2 of it. They didn't even put out the whole thing. They just made a movie out of the first part. What the heck? All right. Let's talk about the episode, actually. So, the flashbacks here. On December 19th, 1964, Emily Linus gives birth to her son in a forest.
Yep.
Afterwards, yeah.
Continue. Your word.
Her husband Roger carries her and the baby away. Yep. We think that we believe they are on the island, and yet they get to this roadside outside Portland. Like, this is like Portland, like 25 miles or something.
Yeah.
Or a car.
Yeah. Have you seen Napoleon Dynamite?
I have. But my memory's very fuzzy of it.
We've got. I think the big reveal here is that Ben Linus's father is John Grease. Is that how you say his name?
Oh,
Grease. John Grease.
I did not recognize him.
Probably. Well, maybe this is way off, but I'm going to say most famous to me, and I feel like a lot of people our age, most likely, as being Uncle Rico.
Okay.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
He's a funny guy.
Nice.
John Grease is a funny guy.
He had me cracking up in this episode. That's
he did. I mean, he kind of did for me. There was
one funny moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The birth stuff did have me kind of laughing.
Really? Okay. That was what had me laughing.
Just because it's such a stupid like baby brain thing to think, but like he just is kind of Uncle Rico in my in my mind. He just got a face of kind of like a goofy guy.
He did have a funny line, like, so yeah, Emily gives birth, and then and like, okay, she's like continuing to like bleed and stuff, and so he's got to get her to a hospital, and he's like, okay, can you hold on to the baby? And it's very like stressful thing, and she says like, is the baby okay? Or maybe he carries them out to the road, and then that like this guy Horace Goodspeed comes over to like help them, but
James Bond ass name.
Yeah, exactly. James Bond if he was horny for cars. Oh, Horace Goodspeed, huh?
Yeah.
Vroom vroom. But he's like, oh, is the baby okay? And Roger's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the John Grease thing is he's got like a good, very funny like dumbstruck face that he kind of puts on a lot, like in that situation. I don't know.
He almost like offended that like that someone might expect him to know if the baby is okay. I don't know. Which is like, I mean, it's perfect for the character because that's kind of like what the rest of the episode is about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, a car carrying Horace Goodspeed and Olivia Goodspeed, presumably, soon stops to help them. Emily dies after telling Roger to name the baby Benjamin, and we're like, it's Ben. It's Ben. 7 years later, Ben and his father arrive at the island to work for the Dharma Initiative, of which Horace is a member, looking totally insane. He looks so crazy when they show up to the island.
Yeah. Real Uncle Rico mode at this point. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about Horace is looking crazy. Horace
Oh,
looks like
yes.
he
Sorry.
looks like a combo of like Kurt Russell and Steve Zahn to me in this, with like long hair. It's and they're like putting lays on everybody and saying, "Namaste, welcome to the island."
Yep.
Kind of White Lotus-y vibes going on too.
Yeah. You know that Ben Linus is Ben Linus because he wears the exact same glasses.
Yes.
Which actually, maybe if you want to be a nerd about it, maybe that kind of makes sense. If you're gonna spend the rest of your island or life on the island, like maybe you would use the same, just have the same glasses. It's kind of difficult to go see an optometrist, presumably.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's your look, it's your thing. I think that's true. Also, though, like I would point to this episode and many other movies throughout the years at like, see, this is how you make a young actor. You could tell the audience that this is the same character across time. Just put the same glasses on them, or put glasses on them at all. Like, glasses is a great storytelling device. None of this deep fake bullshit. We don't need to de-age Harrison Ford or Mark Hamill or anything. If they just gave Luke Skywalker glasses in the original movie, they could just have another young guy with the same glasses. That's how you know.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the best. I think, because a lot of like sci-fi guys especially, or whatever, Reddit style individuals would be really really pissed with your opinion on that. But I agree.
Why?
Well,
I'm right.
No, I know. I agree with you. I think they should pick like Timothy Chalamet next, and just give him the Luke Skywalker glasses or something like that, and just be like, yeah, it's Luke Skywalker. Who cares? It's Luke Skywalker because he's got Luke Skywalker glasses. Reddit style
new
individuals would not like that, but that makes me like it more. That makes me like it at all.
Yeah. I don't know who's clamoring for. I don't think there's like a grassroots movement for like actual audience appetite for de-aged actors. I think it's purely a like arms race by studios so that they don't have to
hire people,
hire people, and they can financialize Mark Hamill's likeness for the rest of time. For example, the way that like they will do like you hear about like they're not making like new like classic rock is kind of like is some of like the most like valuable like assets now, because like the ownership of like Bruce Springsteen's catalog and all that stuff too, because like they're not making new like classic rock. Like the canon has already been established through in music somehow for like commercial success. And so like you're not really gonna get like people licensing like Charlie XCX on. That's not gonna make it to classic rock radio eventually, no matter how long it goes. And so like you get these like major actors, you get their likenesses locked down, and then you can just like you're skating good for the rest of time, baby.
Sure. Okay. Yes. I think when you said classic rock is one of the most valuable assets, it kind of had a invest in the Iraqi dinar now sort of vibe to it. But I get where you.
I mean, if you're able to buy Bruce Springsteen's catalog, didn't you sell it for like $500 million, which honestly seems low. It seems low.
If anybody wants to buy
This
Bruce
is financial. This is financial
Springsteen's
advice.
whole discography, I think we've got a seller for you right here.
I would have paid more for it.
If you're thinking 3 billion, that's a great deal. Yeah. Okay.
I forget. Whatever. All right. At one point, Ben sees another vision of his dead mother. This,
Well,
along with his drunk.
You skipped a
What?
little bit, I think.
Oh, really?
We've had the revelation of who in fact is Roger Workman.
Oh yeah. It's Ben
It's
Linus' dad.
I'm gonna say kind of interesting. It does kind of toe the line of, Jack's tats, Hurley's weight, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Every
whatever.
little thing being explained.
Whatever.
It's kind of fun. I'm fine with it.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm more than fine. That's what the show's about. Bring it on. Bring on some more stuff.
Bring it on. So Ben's mother, Emily, is played by Carrie Preston, who is Michael Emerson's wife.
Sure.
And
she also is like does insurance ads nowadays?
Does she?
Is she not one of those I can't quite place it because I haven't watched live TV in honestly a very long time, I think. She is, isn't she? She does one of those. I know she's not like the progressive
She's the
insurance. She's the general, yeah. Isn't she one of those people that does
like Flo?
Yeah, but she's not the Flo, but she's very similar vibe. Don't they have another one that's like that? I mean, I know she's in movies. She's probably more famous than Michael Emerson in that respect. Probably has a more recognizable face than him. But I think she's a TV ad person too.
I'm not seeing. Can you look up what people's ad?
Insurance heads, call in. Let us know which insurance company does she not maybe work for.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on her Wikipedia page. Just briefly skimming it.
Okay,
but
maybe not.
But apparently, she was cast as Ben's mother after Michael Emerson was telling people at parties that she was desperate for a part on the show.
Nice.
Which is like simultaneously like a good husband move and bad husband move.
Yeah.
Oh, she's desperate for a part. She got her the part. If she didn't land the part, that would have been really embarrassing and rude of him. Okay, so yeah, at one point, Ben sees another vision of his dead mother. This, along with his drunken father blaming him for his mother's death, prompts Ben to sneak into the jungle in search of her. He encounters Richard Alpert, one of the hostiles who are native to the island. Okay, so according to this,
and
it is Richard Alpert. I was like, well, it's definitely Nestor, and he's got long hair.
You were tricked. You got tricked by that's what I was going to make fun of. You can tell that it's Richard Alpert in the past because he's got long hair and he looks like he just came out of Woodstock or whatever.
I mean, it looks like he just came out of like A Knight's Tale or whatever. He's like, he looks so crazy. I mean, he gives a great performance in there, but like he looks exactly the same age. And so I was like, there's some like cloning shit going on, or like that's not him. It's not Richard, but I guess it is. That's so crazy. Well, that's like 40 years ago. He looks like he looks 40 for 40 years. The island?
The island.
But like Ben grows up. He gets old.
True. That's good point. Good point. All good points. This does align with what I was going to suggest when you were talking about the de-aging stuff, which is I think maybe you should be able to de-age people, but you can only de-age them in the Benjamin Button style. in the future. If you want to make a baby Brad Pitt, you got to make a baby 90-year-old baby Brad Pitt. You know, it's got to look like an old guy. It's got
Yeah.
to look like you just put Brad Pitt's face, you know, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
What are the names of those movies, like Baby Geniuses or something like that? You know, it's just like morphed onto a
Yeah.
real
More.
baby's body.
Or do it just through costuming, like Wet Hot American Summer, like those.
Yeah.
That's the only way to do it.
You can tell it's a baby because they're wearing a big bonnet and a
Yeah.
diaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They say goo goo gaga.
Yeah.
It just like I said it. Hey, goo goo gaga, I'm a baby. Ben tells Richard that he wants to join the hostiles on the grounds of not liking the Dharma Initiative. I had a flashback to some deep lore, but I can't. I'll share it on the the premium show. Okay. Richard tells Ben that if he truly wants this, then he must be very, very patient. And we learn that how patient that actually means, because years and years and years later, Ben is now a young man working for the Dharma Initiative, and he helps his father Roger load a van. This is the same van that Hurley found in the episode Trisha Tanaka is Dead. After confronting his father about forgetting his birthday again, Roger suggests that they go for a drive after their work is done to have some father-son time. After parking atop a hill, Ben asks his father if he blames him for the death of his mother. Roger simply answers, "What do I know?" and promises to try to remember Ben's birthday the following year. That was the part that made me laugh. It's like, if it makes you feel any better, I will do my best to remember your birthday next year.
Yeah. A very dad response, you know? I think it's supposed to sound like a bad dad response, but like you could imagine, you know, let's say a Tim Walls type character also saying the exact same thing in the real world as well. I don't know. What do I know? What do I know about that?
What do I know? Yeah. Other lore just popped into my head. You guys gotta subscribe to the Patreon. Okay. Ben, fed up after years of neglect and abuse, pulls out a gas mask, and bids his father goodbye before filling the van with a gas that kills Roger.
Roger moves so slowly while this happens.
Yeah.
If anybody pulls out a gas mask next,
why are you doing that?
He doesn't even do that. I mean, that's probably what I would do if I'm on like the train or something like that, and somebody pulls out a gas mask. I'm like immediately flinching
Leaving.
and probably starting to move. But like Roger watches Ben put on the full gas mask and like tighten it around his face and then pull out little smoke grenade style gas thing, and just like doesn't move his body at all. Just like what do you call it? O face. That's not the it's not the word.
No, that is not the phrase for it.
Oh, whatever. You can imagine that one.
Just surprise.
Too. Shouldn't have stolen that phrase for a different thing. It should mean when you're surprised.
That's a mid 2000s.
Oh.
I haven't heard that in so many years. But yeah, he really doesn't even try to get out of it at all. Talk about people without any sort of like self-preservation instincts. But like someone pulls out a gas mask, immediately opening the door and just like leaving.
And then like same thing with like the gas. Now the gas starts coming out of the little gun thing, or not the gun, whatever, grenade thing.
Yeah.
And he like doesn't even turn for the door. Just immediately. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad acting, but it is very funny that like all he does is kind of like cough once and then like X's his hands reaching towards his neck and go and dead.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. not a second's thought of this guy might get out of this alive.
Yeah.
Ben returns to the barracks where all the Dharma workers have died from the same gas, and I thought maybe also bullet holes. I thought they had like, I thought maybe they had gotten shot.
Hmm. I didn't notice the bullet holes, that there were bullet holes. You thought they were shot.
I guess I didn't see bullet holes, but
Wow.
I mean they're carrying guns, but I thought like, damn, this is like, I mean they're getting killed either way, like with the gas or the poison gas or getting shot, but like I feel like it's way more of like vicious to, or I don't know, there's something more visceral about them just going through and like just mowing him down with bullets. Uh,
Hmm.
and gassing's bad too. I don't know what kind of take I've worked myself into here. But anyway, Alpert and his men emerge wearing masks. As Alpert's men start picking up the bodies, Alpert offers to go and collect Rogers, but Ben tells him, "Leave him out there." He has like full villain delivery on every single line in this episode. Possibly unnecessary in some of them. Like a little bit later, he's like, "You remember birthdays, don't you, Richard? It happens to be mine today." Like, all right, like not everything.
Yeah.
I'll have pancakes for breakfast.
Like Richard's the exact opposite too, right? Like
Yeah, he's so chill.
a lot of also does evil stuff, but delivers everything in a very,
Like
amiable way.
earnest. Yeah.
Like I could see myself doing some evil thing
Mm-hmm.
for this guy. But yeah, Ben,
Yeah.
complete opposite.
Mm-hmm. Not a set. They're like everything you say is evil. Yeah. All right. So, back to what's happening on the island in real time or present day. John Locke arrives at the others' camp carrying his father's body on his back and demands that Ben tell him everything about the island. Ben tells him that the true leader of the others is not him, but a man named Jacob, and denies, or he says the leader is Jacob. He doesn't say man, whatever, and denies Locke's request to see him. Ben also tells John that he was not born on the island. Soon after, Mikhail stumbles into the camp and talks about the parachutist who landed on the island, Naomi. To convince Ben to bring him before Jacob, Locke beats Mikhail unconscious, while Richard and Tom do not intervene. Yeah, Locke is there like staking his claim in the ground here a little bit. Like
Yeah.
he's a man on a mission, and I'm kind of loving it.
Well, I think Locke is very smart in this situation, even though most of the time he's getting himself tricked. But he is perceptive and picks up on the fact that the others, maybe with some exception for Ben, the others suddenly have some new admiration for him, and I think he's
Mm-hmm.
kind of trying to figure out how far he can push it, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if I just beat up this guy? And he does it, and there's no reaction except for Ben, who's kind of incredulous. Why are the other people? Why aren't you guys doing anything about this?
Mm-hmm.
Bad move. Bad move for him. Smart move for Locke,
Yeah.
because Locke just knows that the window for acceptable behavior has shifted enormously for him.
Yeah. So it must be, my guess is what's going on here, and maybe this is, I think this is all on the text, but yeah, like I kind of believe what Richard told Locke when he handed him Sawyer's file, that like Ben is on this mission, and like he's got this like kind of weird relationship with Locke, but kind of above all else, he like needs to stay in charge, or like he is very aware of like the politics of what's going on with the others, and like some of the stories that he's told over the years, maybe true or not, about like there's gonna be some like special guy who shows up who's gonna be able to commune with the island in this particular way, and like Locke starts to meet these things, and so he sets up this like test that he knows Locke will fail, which is to kill his own dad.
Mm.
And he does that, and he sets up, and he knows that he'll fail, and he's telling the rest of the others that like, they're like, we want him to be this this kind of guy, and we'll know that he's this kind of guy. He's got this like that we'll know he's special if he's able to pass this test. And yes, as a way of just like he's gonna set up the test, he'll fail, and then he'll be able to keep his power in place. Locke kind of outsmarts him on that. Goes and kills his dad indirectly through Sawyer. And so now the others are like, oh, damn, all of those stories that we heard from Ben, they're true. Or, you know, like the Locke could be the guy or is the guy. I mean, at the very least, he's coming back with a dead body. So
Yeah.
let's like watch out for that. I just did the film reaction thing. All right. Yeah, so like we shouldn't really be messing with this guy.
Yeah.
Ben and Locke arrive at Jacob's cabin. They enter, but Locke cannot see anyone inside. We see like there's like a cool dog painting on the wall. That's one thing I noticed.
Mm.
Ben introduces Locke to Jacob and gestures towards an empty chair, to which he starts talking. Locke tells Ben that he is crazy and pathetic. Just as Locke is about to exit the house, an odd and deep voice says, "Help me." Locke pulls out a flashlight, and suddenly, objects in the room begin to violently fly about. Windows shatter, and Ben is flung against a wall as a strange man is briefly seen sitting in the chair. I missed that. Did you see that?
Actually, yeah, I missed that too. And I don't remember that I remember this episode from before, but I don't. The Flash. Oops.
Wow. No, I
Oops.
definitely... Locke and Ben run out of the house. Like, as they're approaching the house, Ben's like, "Oh, do you put that flashlight away?" He feels about technology the same way it feels the same way about technology as you do. Which I also didn't think, like, is Locke like particularly anti-tech? I mean, he seems like the kind of guy who would be, but has he been like
I don't
railing
think
against
so.
technology? He's been like
No.
he's been playing chess on the damn computer.
Yeah.
And also he says like, okay, he doesn't like technology, so put your flashlight away. And also they put their bags down. So presumably bags are too advanced of a technology for Jacob. It's like bag tech is too highfalutin for him. The following day, Locke still does not believe that Jacob is real and says that he will expose Ben as a fraud. Locke notices that Ben is leading him back by a different path, and Ben then leads him to a mass grave full of skeletons clothed in Dharma uniforms. Ben tells Locke that he helped kill his own people when it became clear that the Dharma workers could not coexist with the natives. And then he shoots Locke, who falls into the pit. Locke reveals Jacob said, "Help me." Ben replies that he certainly hopes Jacob helps him as he departs, leaving Locke for dead. Oh shit. We don't see Locke die. I don't know. I'm kind of like, man, they're really gonna kill Locke? But it seems like maybe his character has run its course a little bit. So I can see him this actually being the end of him.
Yeah, when this happened, I and anticipating this happening, I've been thinking for many weeks to send you. I'm not, just to be clear, I'm neither confirming nor denying what you've just said, but I've been thinking about it happening in the show, and then the need to send you a little, RIP for your guy, who I'm gonna say I think has probably generally been your favorite character. RIP, especially in the context of sorry that your dude had to go before Charlie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Locke is my favorite character, I would say. But I also like, if he needs to, if now's his time, I guess like, it doesn't seem premature. Maybe that's the way to say it. Like, I don't know. He died doing what he loved. Doing what he loved.
Sure.
At the survivors camp, Sawyer plays Juliet's tape for Saeed and Kate. Later that night, the survivors are introduced to Naomi, and the tape is played for all to hear. Just then, Jack and Juliet return to the camp. Juliet tells Sawyer to play the other side of the tape, which is Ben's plan to lead a team to kidnap all the fertile women. Juliet reveals that she already told Jack about it and that they were still thinking of a plan. And then Jack's like, well, I guess let's have a conversation then. God, dude, he's fucking pissing me off, dude. Well, I guess we need to talk about some stuff. How about you then, man? How about you? Jack? You, bro? 4 out of 5.
Interesting. 5 out of 5 for me.
A little flip flop. Yeah,
Yep.
no, it's great episode. Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, that's going to be it for the show today. If you like the show and want to hear more from Ben and I, consider joining our Patreon. This is patreon.com/Dr. Skeleton. Every week, Ben and I release a whole extra podcast like we've been saying throughout the podcast. Right into the show at drskeletonsartschool@gmail.com. Comment down below. Let us know what we missed in this episode, if anything. Next week, I think, is going to be the last of Season 3. I think we have... Well, let me double-check that. Let me double-check that. We have... Yeah, this is going to be... We're going to see watch episodes 21 and 22 / 23, because I think it's another like split season finale. So yeah, we're gonna see the end of all season 3 next week. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week.